And welcome into this Friday edition of the Miller's Edge Free for All Friday. That is meaning we can go anywhere and everywhere, pretty much like we do any day of the week. But hey, it sounds good. It's a Free for All Friday on the Miller's Edge. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are getting a good start to your weekend. Hope your Friday's going great. Weather's great. A little hot again, but hey, man, we'll take it. It was raining like every single day for the past 2 weeks. Finally, we're getting some sunny weather, which is nice. But in terms of what we have for you guys on this Free for All Friday, well, obviously, we got something that's going to excite. I know at least one guy, Chase. One guy is going to be fired up, and I'm sure he's going to be dialing the number here in about 10 seconds. Pat, it's your day, man. We landed 2 recruits yesterday. I know everybody's parading through the streets after landing 2 recruits yesterday. A lot of excitement. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I'm going to have to just kind of I told Chase, man, I'm like, I got to call a few people out, man, for the way we were acting yesterday. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm as excited as anybody. Obviously, we're landing top talent, but Chase, things really are different, man. I mean, like, I'm watching people. You would think we just won the Super Bowl, man. And I thought, like, we used to just land people and it was like, oh, there we go again. We did it. Now it's like, I don't know, man. And maybe I'm just so used to that, the other side of it, just kind of just, it is what it is. But you know what? I'm letting people have their fun, but I am going to have to get on a couple because I clicked on I forgot what it was. I clicked on one of these watch party videos or something. I'm like, we're having watch parties for 17-year-olds picking a school, man. I mean, what are we doing, guys? I don't know, but we'll dive into some recruiting talk on this Free for All Friday. Plus, you know, Chase, I wish I saw this video while we were talking. Obviously, my dad hopped on here the second hour of the show. We had a fun back and forth, some friendly banter there, and we got into it about the defensive line. And sure enough, I mean, this video I think dropped literally like the day before. I wish I would have seen it. And of course, it's PFF. You know, they have all these numbers and stuff like that they come up with. But I should have used it for my defense strategy, Chase, because it actually showed Alabama's defensive line ranked really, really high up there nationally, not just in the conference, but nationally. Which I wish we had more. I wish there was more context to it. I wish they explain a little bit more, given because we were looking. You know, again, you look at the numbers. Numbers wise, we were not great last year, but which is, I guess, why I'm surprised because PFF is literally all about numbers, right? They're breaking down all the numbers. Well, it was just a little confused. But anyway, I want to tune into that and play that video for you guys. It's like a minute long, get that. And a couple other things we want to get into, listen to, respond to, all that good stuff. But per usual, you guys are in charge of where we go, right? 205-342-9904. We want to hear what you guys want to talk about. I want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. Plus, you can always drop an app message if you can't get on the phone lines. If you're a little nervous to hop on the phone lines, no worries. Drop an app message. We'll read it. Or you can always tune into the YouTube stream, which I highly encourage you guys to do. It's always fun when all you guys load in here. We always have a good conversation in the chat. You can interact with each other. Obviously, we can read everything you're saying there, discuss it live on air, and that always is good. Plus, you can always send us stuff if you see videos, articles, whatever it is that you want us to discuss and look at. Send it to us on X at the Miller's Edge. Just tag us in it. We'll check it out. I know Ricky, QD, you guys, even Dwight's now doing it. So make sure you guys check that out as well. That being said, happy Friday to everybody. Everybody's joining the chat. I see all the happy Fridays. Happy Friday to everybody there. Everybody listening. We got to hit a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll kick this Free for All Friday off real quick. As we go into the break, let me remind you about our friends over at the Good Feet store. That is the Good Feet store. Good feet, good life. If you're in any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, back pain, hip pain, the list goes on. You got to head on over to the Good Feet store. Midtown Village here in Tuscaloosa is where you can find them. They'll take great care of you. First-class customer service, always important for me. That's a big one for me. If you have good customer service, a good chance that you're getting my business. If not, see ya. I'm out the door. Luckily, the Good Feet store, man, is as good as it comes. They'll take great care of you. They'll sit you down. They'll show you your own arches, how you're going to benefit from their arch supports. They'll let you try them out. They've had foot massages in there. The people are great. I mean, it's a first-class experience, and you got to check them out. I'm telling you, these things are game changers. 3-step process, really easy. As simple as throwing them in your shoes, and you just get to living, get to walking, and they take care of all that. Goodfeet.com is where you can always go find more information. You can always go find the nearest location. You just type in your zip code, schedule an appointment. Again, that is the Good Feet store, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. Just like we hope to improve the quality of your life 2 hours at a time. Quick timeout, Free for All Friday getting started right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9. 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet store, America's Arch Sport Experts. Be right back.
The Tide 100.9 WT.
All right, what's going on, guys? Free for All Friday. Southern, I see you. Kenji, Mike, Justin, what's going on? Hope y'all are having a great day. Were y'all out there parading like these other people when we landed a recruit, man? What has happened to us, guys? What are we doing, man? What are we doing? I gotta talk about this. I'm watching reaction videos. Let me say I tuned into one like briefly, like for like 10 seconds, and I'm like, what the hell are we doing, man? I mean, we got grown folks sitting around a computer screen waiting for a kid to make a decision. Like, guys, I'm really just having fun, guys. But there is some truth in this. I'm just kind of like, wait, have we always done this? I will say that the 5-star running back, though, I watched his tape. No, it's ridiculous. College football is getting crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm just confused, right? Because didn't we just say, oh, nobody's paying attention to recruit? Now, I don't know if it was just because of this one guy, which he's a really good player. I mean, like I'm like watching, like people are literally like sitting around like it's they're waiting on the damn New Year's ball to drop. And then I'm gonna dive into this here in a second. I'm like, like the commentary I heard. I couldn't. When I tell you guys I turned that shit off so fast, I was like, I'm not about to be here watching this, man. I just was like, let me just see which hat he picks. I was like, hopefully he doesn't do this whole theatrics thing, throwing a hat. I mean, he kind of did give a little bit of a pump fake. Yeah, I'm fine with that. But yeah. But here we go, guys. So you got the number one linebacker. This is a guy that we watched here. I think was it Carson that I think Carson put us on him. Look, I'll say this. Hell, maybe I'll go do one of these streams and sit around and wait on a 17-year-old to pick a hat. I mean, because I actually like this guy. He plays my position, obviously, so I'm going to be a little bit more excited maybe, but I'm kidding. I'm not doing that. Sorry. If you guys want me to do that type of stream, man, you guys are going to have to
find it easy.
Do something. There's going to have to be some incentive, man, some damn super chats or something. I'm not. And maybe that's why they were doing it. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Hell, there was a lot of people tuning in. It wasn't just one. It was like a whole bunch of people all were tuning in. So maybe it's a normal thing.
On your favorite
I just don't remember. I feel like we used to just land like top guys and it was just like, boom, yeah, we did it again. I guess it just makes me nervous. I feel like we're like slowly becoming just like everybody else. I'm not used to that. I don't care how crazy it gets always to be a college football fan, especially Alabama. I'm just trying to keep an open mind about it all, excited about it. Yeah, 100%.
This
don't get me wrong. I'm excited too. I promise. Just I'm not going to do all that. And welcome back into this Latin Flavor Friday. As you guys know, we got a number of I'm learning Spanish. Chase is probably learning, been learning a little bit of Spanish. Q06, learning some Spanish. Hell, I think we even had Southern in the chat the other day saying what she said. She wrote something in Spanish. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, we like having fun with that. All right, Chase. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and just get it out the way, right? Let's talk about it, man. I mentioned it first, so we want to talk about it. I was talking a little bit about it with the chat. Again, we are live on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube at the Miller's Edge. Right now, we're streaming. Excuse me, if I can just get my throat cleared. All right, I think we're good. You can watch me do the show. You can watch us pull up the clips. Matter of fact, I'll try to pull up the clip of the young man committing yesterday. Again, a lot of people were tuning into that. Clearly, we'll talk about that in a second, but. Let's talk about it, Chase. We got some recruiting updates, right? We're turning into a recruiting show, man. It's Pat's fault. Pat has converted us, but hey, man, I'm just kidding. No, it is. It's that time of year. There's a lot of activity in recruiting, so we got to talk about it. Let's say the big one for last, right? Let's start with the and no disrespect to the other guy, but we'll get to the other one in a second. The tight end we discussed yesterday, right? 4-star Max Sutter ends up committing to Alabama. Pat called it. He called the show, literally, and called it. He was heavily confident in this young man committing to Alabama. He sure did. I saw the clip of this guy committing. Let me just say, man, very respectful young man. Just was literally thanking everybody in attendance, all his teammates, family, everybody. And then it was a little anticlimactic. He kind of just said, like, after he got done thanking everybody, he just said, I'll be attending the University of Alabama. Everybody cheered and stuff and whatnot. But anyway, I do like this pickup. I will say this is a guy we watched yesterday on tape. I think he's a long, athletic tight end, definitely more of a flex guy, a receiving threat guy you can send down the seams. Probably, I mean, I don't know the extent of, his routes and stuff. We just watch his highlights, but he seems to be fairly athletic. Definitely will put some weight on things like 225, 230 right now. But I'll say this. He does look scrappy. He's not the biggest guy, but he looks scrappy. There was a couple of clips of him getting down and dirty when he was in the C area. They had him in the core. He had to block a little bit. Not a whole bunch of clips of that, but from what I saw, I liked it. And I was explaining yesterday. It kind of reminds me of a guy like Miller Forrestall in terms of definitely looks more athletic than Miller. Now, I mean, Miller was a good athlete and actually was surprisingly a really good route runner. The reason I say surprisingly is just because, I mean, he doesn't strike you as being the fastest or anything like that, but he knew how to run routes and knew how to use his body really well. But in terms of the scrappiness, that's how this guy reminds me. Miller was, a lean guy when he got to college, not very big, not very strong, but was tough, scrappy, and he'd put his nose in there, right? And he knew how to use those little kind of dirty techniques and I would tell you one thing, he would block you to the whistle because he was a tough dude. And I feel like this guy kind of has that to him, but an even better threat, in terms of the passing game. So, and hey, Miller actually was a really good player for us, and he's still playing, I believe. I think he lastly was out west with somebody, mostly some practice squad stuff, but still, man, Miller was a heck of a player for us, and actually played early on at the tight end position. So, I think this guy is a good pickup, and I like him for our tight end room. So. Shout out to Max Sutter, and also I guess shout out to Pat for hitting the nail on the head with that one. But he also, Chase, he hit the nail on the head with this one, and this is the one we're going to talk about real quick because this is the one that I guess everybody was tuned in for, right? I guess including myself. I technically clicked on a video because, matter of fact, it was unintentional, Chase. I was on X. I didn't even know this guy was about to commit or what time it was, but I saw a number of lives. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? What is everybody watching? So everybody was waiting to see this guy. And this guy is Xavier E.J. Crowell. And I guess he's the number one, number two, I guess, depending on where you look at. But we'll just say the top running back in the country who actually reclassified. And this is becoming a common thing, Chase. These guys like Ryan Williams, they're just so talented, and I guess they're so eager to get to college, man, that they reclassify, and they pretty much are heading to college when they should be seniors in high school, which, I mean, if they're ready for it and that's what they want to do, sure. I'll be honest. I mean, if I was giving somebody advice, I would tell them, man, you only get to do high school once. You only get to do college once. You got plenty of time to do college. I would probably just recommend, like, enjoy high school, man. Like, I don't think there's so much of, well, you could get in. I mean, yeah, technically injuries are always a thing, but like, let's just call a spade a spade. Most of the people that say, I didn't make it to the league because I got injured, 99% of the time is cap. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to be that guy to say that, but it's true. I've seen plenty of guys have knee injuries, blow their knees out, knock on wood. I'm not talking about this guy, but let me not even speak like that, in high school, and they end up playing for a long time. Anyway, that being said, he has reclassified. He's heading to school early, but he in fact chose Alabama over the likes of Texas, Auburn, and Georgia. And Chase, this is what actually, man, out of everything, out of all the people tuning in, out of all the noise and the hat selection, the celebrations, you know what really caught everybody's attention? I'm gonna highlight it right here on the YouTube stream. That's why you need to watch the stream. You know what his quote was to Hayes Fawcett? "Free my daddy." That was his quote. Now, if you know, you know. I saw some people saying like, well, what does that mean? Why is everybody Well, if you really understand, the type of players that we had in the past, right? Now, obviously, you guys see me. I'm over here, well spoken. People just call me Barack the way I speak and stuff, whatever. But we had a fair share of guys. There's always some jokes. I'm not gonna get it too deep into them, but you always need a fair share of guys that are really that have that type of story, right? Well, that quote is screaming that type of story. If you guys get what I'm trying to say. So some people are like, "Hey, man, that's all we needed to see. We're back." Jokes aside, I went and watched his tape. I will say, I'm impressed, Chase. I'm impressed with this young man, especially for a guy that was a sophomore this past football season. Watching his tape, Chase. I mean, he's a dog. He's a dog. I mean, he definitely looks to be a player that you should be excited about. You understand why he is a blue chip recruit. Just watching his tape, he hits the hole well. I mean, he runs hard. He has really nice straight line speed. And again, we're talking about a guy who's a sophomore last year. And his speed is an interesting thing, Chase. It's kind of deceptive. When you watch the tape, he doesn't look like he's just blazing. I don't know if he has longer strides or what, but if you actually pay attention to the ground he's covering, I mean, the dude covers ground. So he has great breakaway speed, great long speed. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think he's going to fit in well. I'll pull up some clips here in a second about him talking about his decision, why he chose Alabama, all that fun stuff. But definitely grew up an Alabama fan. That was one of the things that stood out when he was talking. I mean, he said he's always dreamed of playing at Alabama. And immediately when I heard that, I thought about my dad, and when I tried to explain to him, right. And again, I want to tread lightly, because if I say this, I feel like some of our fans, again, directed towards some people, like, oh, everybody said we weren't going to be able to recruit with Coach DeBoer. There were, a lot of opposing fan bases, a lot of people that were saying that. But you also had people that had, there was a true, I'm not going to call it concern, but there was a very valid reason to have a little cautiousness, or just say like just a question mark to see how it would look. But I always did give pushback and say, at the end of the day, as long as whoever the next coach came in and they didn't screw things up, and they really understood that, hey, Coach Saban might be gone, but we still can ride this brand. We still can use all these resources, the facilities, everything that Alabama has to offer in our favor. And that's exactly what we've been seeing. And if you pay close attention, again, this isn't taking anything away from Coach DeBoer and Courtney Morgan. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I always give them credit, to be fair, as well as all the support staff behind the scenes that don't necessarily get mentions, right? Even a lot of people that were here prior that were retained. However, if you listen to a lot of these guys, especially these Southeast guys, not even just Southeast guys, but a lot of them specifically that grew up, around Alabama, they love Alabama, they see that brand. If you listen to a lot of their responses, in their minds, these kids, Alabama is still Alabama. And I'm not necessarily saying based off of, oh, yeah, we went 9-3, that type of we're still Alabama, but in the sense of when we see that we think back to all the guys we watched growing up and the dominance that Alabama had. And I thought about this comparison, Chase. It's no different than like let's use a basketball example for this situation. Say, Duke, UNC, the Blue Bloods, Kentucky, the Blue Bloods of basketball. They've had down years, right? We've literally seen those programs have bad years. Now, I'm not like the biggest basketball guru, but at the same time, I still view them as those programs. If I talk to a kid who's a hooper and say Kentucky just sucked the year prior, I wouldn't immediately go, oh, they're trash now. I would go, oh, damn, you're going to Kentucky? Because I'm going to think about the Kentucky or the UNC or the Duke that I once knew and the dominance that they had, right? That blue blood program is no different than Alabama. So I do think there definitely was a lot of overreactions initially with the whole like, oh, Bama's going to immediately struggle. No, immediately that's not going to happen. Now, say we had last year we went 9-3, to say the next 2 years we struggled ever. Just like we heard Pate say, and like I've been saying, that would definitely put a dent in the quote unquote aura of Bama. But we still would be able to recruit strictly because people still see that A. And it doesn't really matter what you do, the right now, so to speak, but because they grew up, wanting to play or dreaming of playing here, and because of that brand, dude, even though we went 9-3, doesn't matter. If these kids say, oh, I'm going to Alabama, think about the reaction that everybody else is going to have still, because it's Alabama. You get what I'm saying? So, I guess all I'm saying is for anybody that necessarily was like not shocked, but I guess would say like worried. Oh, how will we do? We never were just going to fall off the face of the earth. We always were still going to be. I know some people painted that picture. Even like my dad was, definitely. Well, we're going to have to see, but that's why I kept saying like, as long as he brings in the right people, has the right people around him, they go off of the brand, the resource, everything. We'll be just fine, and we're seeing that they're doing a good job, and we obviously are still able to accrue. Which leads me to my final point, and I might have to carry it over, but I was just talking with the chat here a little bit that I'm still just trying to understand, guys. Like, I know we all, I wouldn't say had concerns, but wanted to see how things would look, right? And I get we want to be excited, but I'm like, when did we start? Like, I feel like the reactions we've been seeing is almost as if like we don't even expect to be able to recruit. Now I know you had people telling you that, but I'm like, what happened to us? Just kind of like, oh man, yeah, we're used to that. Nowadays, it's I don't know. I'm like, damn, I hope we're not getting closer and closer to just these other programs where it's like, nah, man, like in my head, I'm like, dude, we should expect to land guys like this. I mean, it's like it's the University of Alabama. You should expect that. That's just how I look at it. But the last thing that I mentioned earlier, and I was kind of being funny, but I'm serious. I'm like, I was watching these people react to the recruit, I guess the commitment video, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I was being funny. You guys have fun, do whatever you want to do. But Chase, you know what was like? I really was like, man, like, hold on now. It was some of the commentary, like the comments I heard. So the young man commits, right? And immediately after, his mom celebrating, family, everybody's jumping up, and there's a lot of energy and excitement. So he's breaking down, crying, right? And rightfully so, man. It's a huge decision for him, and that was awesome that he had that moment. I would argue he's crying because, like it's like, man, it's just like a surreal moment. He just committed to his dream school. He's got everybody celebrating with him. Man, it's a great thing. I'm like listening to these people, and people are telling like, oh man, he's emotional, man, because man, it's been so tough, man. I mean, man, he's got so much on his hands, man. He's carrying so much weight, man. It's so hard for a young man in those shoes, guys. Let me just tell you guys, from someone that's been in those shoes, it's probably easier than ever for these guys to make commitments, and let me tell you why. When I was coming out, and everybody before all this stuff in the last few years, where there was no transfer portal where you could just pick up and leave within a year if something didn't happen. You were not getting paid hundreds of thousands, or potentially getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. So when I'm hearing people like, oh man, like these kids, oh man, they've got so much on their shoulders, man. I mean, he's got to get it out, man. He's battling so much. Guys, if you think life is hard, choosing which school you're going to let pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then if it doesn't work out, you can go in a portal and get paid again and go play somewhere else. Guys, what are we talking about? And I'm not knocking the kids at all. I'm just saying, like, people. What I'm getting at is I'm more so getting on the people, like people just talking. Like, be careful who you listen to. People just be talking just to say stuff. Like, how does that make any like? Listen, I understand the stress of being recruited and making a decision. Again, I went through it. I understand. But even with that scenario, with not having a transfer portal, not being paid like that, I wouldn't sit there and make it seem like it is a big decision. Yeah. And it was a much bigger decision then, because if I committed to Alabama and I signed my letter of intent and I got here and it wasn't what I thought, number one, I wasn't being paid all this money to basically just play the sport that I love and go to school for free, which is, I mean, I don't even know if these guys understand the blessing that they have. Get free real estate licenses if they want to. Guys, I mean, these guys have more resources than ever before. But two, I couldn't just pick up and leave and put my name in a transfer portal and go to the other school I wanted to go to, and then also receive more money. So I just was listening to some of the commentary. I'm like, that y'all, if y'all think that he's crying because he's been so like, guys, come on, man. It's not that stressful when you have multiple schools offering. Again, a kid like this, top recruit. I'm not saying everybody gets big bags, but this kid, I mean, first of all, I mean, you saw the jewelry he was wearing. He's getting a little bit of bag right now already. They can do that. But two, like, come on, man. Hey, what are we talking about? Chase, am I being too critical here? Do you get where I'm coming from? I know people are gonna think I sound like a hater, this and that, but I promise it's not that. I'm just like, I don't understand how we're coming to the conclusion like, oh man, it's so hard. Like, guys, no, 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 no. It's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. Yeah, it's stressful because you got one staff telling you one thing, another staff telling you this thing. You're imagining, oh man, I could go here, my family be close, but maybe I want to go here. I like this system, and there's never really always going to feel like the perfect thing. There's always going to be maybe one little thing that one school might have that you might prefer here. Like I get it's there's stress, but I just remember hearing that comment yesterday, and I immediately thought, if y'all think these guys are straight, how do you think it was when I was coming out, other people were coming out, and we didn't have any of those luxuries? We were pretty much stuck, and we had to literally fight lawsuits just to be able to transfer if before graduating. Like it's a different age. Chase, am I doing too much? Am I get off my grass guy right now, or tell me, man? Be honest.
Not to get off my grass guy. No, no, I think you raised some good points. It's just turnover. It's not Nick Saban anymore. So it's just kind of filling things out. People are really nervous. People don't know how to react. Like you said, people watching a whole watch party for these things is like wild to me.
Yeah,
Like putting a pressure on a 17, 18-year-old can make a whole university. That doesn't sit well with me. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's just I think it'll get better over time when Killing the Board starts to win, and it's starting to be consistent. Then it's like, oh, okay, we can get back to 4-star, 5-star. It's just like the quality of these recruits will be back to normal. But it's just kind of a turnover, and like I always say, Rome wasn't built in one day. So it's just kind of taking it year by year, and then if we ever get back to that promised land, cool. And if we don't, just continue to build. It's just all these 5 stars that everybody's talking about. It's just that's not always going to be the case.
yeah. Well, and I think people also have to remember too. We got to sign these guys, right? And I know people are like, "Oh, damn, his dad's rubbing off on him. He sounds so pessimistic." No, 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 no. I promise I'm not trying to sound pessimistic. I'm just keeping it real with you guys, man. I'm keeping it real. Southern says thanks for keeping it in perspective. Yeah, no, I mean that's all I'm trying to do. Because again, I've been here, I've experienced. Like I'll tell you guys, like going through this process, yes, it is stressful. You got a million people calling your phone. Like you got a bunch of people like saying, "Hey, well, we can do this for you. We can do this for you." Like at 17 years old, having a bunch of people pulling you, this direction, that direction. Don't get me wrong. It is stressful. I'm not saying, oh, it's just easy for these guys, but I'm saying it's probably a whole hell of a lot easier knowing that, hey, man, I can sleep better knowing, hey, if I sign with Alabama, which again, we got to make sure you sign these guys. These are just commitments. Anything can happen. But if I sign with Alabama, if it doesn't work out, like there's literally, unless there's something that they're signing, which I mean, I'm not 100% sure on this stuff, but guys can get in the portal and just go elsewhere, man. Like we didn't have that luxury. You know what I mean? They're also getting paid. So hell, I knew I had to wait my turn. You know how much easier, which it was fine with me because I had the mindset already going into college that I was going to have to wait my turn. I had to develop physically. Like I wasn't pouting on the sidelines as a redshirt or even my redshirt freshman year when I was playing special teams. I knew what I signed up for. Most guys don't have that level of maturity at that age. Fortunately, like I did. I think I've always been a little bit more wise beyond my years. But you know what would have made it a hell of a lot easier, Chase? If I'm getting 5 to 10 bands a month at least, you know what I mean, while I sit there and develop. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I think people just sometimes they just be talking, man. But that's kind of where we're at now. People just talk, just people listen, man. But listen from my perspective, man. These guys have a hell of an opportunity. They'll be just fine. Don't overthink. Just like I told them when I was at the first and 10 event, man. Y'all have an opportunity like none other. Y'all go to school for free. Y'all are now being paid. Y'all are literally at this event. When I used to go to first and 10, it was like, hey, tell me about medical sales or this field or that field. When I get done playing, that I can get a. Now they go to this event and they're raising their hand saying, hey, we're the real estate folks because we now are offered at our lead. It's free to get our real estate license while we're in school to then talk about purchasing a property. Yes, them like 18 years old, purchasing a property to live in, and then how they can maximize that by renting it out and so forth when the time comes. Like, listen, man, let's not make it seem like, oh my God, man. Anyway, so that was my little rant for I guess this short period. I'm done with that. That being said, we got to hit a quick timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling on this free for all Friday. I told you it's a free for all Friday, so that's what you guys are getting right now. It's free for all, man. I'm letting it out. We'll keep on rolling. Got a couple other things to dive into. Remember, 205-342-9904 is the number. Pat, man, I'm surprised we haven't heard his updates. I thought he was going to be filling us in on everything, but we'll have to wait and see. That being said, quick timeout. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Oh, there it is. Feliz Viernes. Nice. See, we got Southern speaking Spanish. Mike says, as a fan, I don't really expect things because of our history. I get excited every time we do something good. Yeah, maybe my dad is rubbing off on me, man. I do feel like I sound like the get off my grass guy. But it's not that, guys. It's just like I'm like, we just used to literally just like we just land a 5-star and just like boom. It's just that things are different. I guess the whole talk about what was the other thing? Oh, them saying he was crying because of how much pressure he felt. I'm like, I just had to get it because I'm like, bro, I really think people just be saying anything. Just like I heard somebody else too, guys. Somebody said, "See, this is what Courtney and DeBoer do. They're calculated. They're letting everybody. They're not showing their hand. They're letting everybody else show their moves." And then I'm like, excuse my language. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, guys, it's recruiting. You don't just wait till the last second. Nobody's just waiting till the last second to show that. Like, I'm like, people just talk, man. People just say anything now. I swear. They just say whatever. Excuse my language, guys, but I'm like, wait, like the stuff that I see sometimes, I'm just like, I think the reason it bothers me is because unfortunately you have a lot of people that just like they go off of the first thing that they see and then they run with it. And if I had $1 for every time I see like some people that have these platforms, man, and they're just saying things that aren't true, they're pushing narratives that aren't true, it just drives me nuts, man. Like even like the whole, oh well, DeBoer wasn't he didn't play Ty Simpson because of Jalen Milroe's what's it called? Like his allegiance to Jalen Milroe, because he wanted to be faithful. Dude, I talked to another former player, dude that played here, was like 06 through 11. I mean, like before I even finished that comment, like I was telling him about that, he literally was like, "What the like that's what people that really know are just like that's stupid." Like this is college football where you're paid to win, dude. The player that gives you the best chance to win games is going to play. Like the fact that, but then the fact that you have literal people that have platforms and write articles as if like that's a fact and then everybody just believes it's the craziest thing. Oh, the team tanked on purpose against USF because they were mad Jalen got benched. And then I bring a dude on here on the team that literally says that. No one write an article about that. A dude literally said that's the biggest load of shit that I've ever heard. And nobody wants to say anything about
construction at 205-752-9611.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this free-for-all Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. All right, y'all just heard my little rant a little bit, right? I guess we can call it. It really wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, but I just had to just explain. Like, let me give you all some facts on all this stuff. So anyway, there was that. But let's just piggyback off that. Again, EJ Crowell, again, big congrats to him also. Max Sutter committing yesterday. Again, don't get me wrong, big time news, big time pickups. Again, I watched both their tape. I'm not just going off of where they're ranked. I watched both the film for both these guys, and I was impressed. I mean, the running back again, for him to be a sophomore and to see the tape that he put out, man, really impressed, man. Especially, I mean, he really just seems to have all the tools you look for in a running back, and obviously, there's a lot to be excited about. But you know what's funny, Chase? A lot of people get so caught up in recruiting that they forget about the guys that you already have. And I'm like, you guys, I mean, we haven't even gotten to see AK Deer, who everybody was excited about last year. All the other guys, I mean, Richard Young, another former 5-star. And I think that's the other reason why I'm like, again, I'm not trying to like downplay commitments and stuff, but I'm like, it's like people just are so quick for that next shiny toy. I'm like, you guys haven't even really been able to embrace and enjoy the former 5-stars that are on the roster right now. You know what I mean? That you actually get to see this upcoming year that you should be excited about too. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just try to just think about things in a real perspective. Like, yeah, we're excited about picking up EJ Crowell, but don't forget, I mean, we got some dogs in this running back room right now that we should be hyping up and being excited about because they're actually contributing this upcoming season. That being said, let's listen to EJ Crowell. He spoke to the media briefly after his big time commitment yesterday. And here we go. Let's hear what he had to say on why he chose the University of Alabama.
All right, EJ, you decided on Alabama. Tell us why.
Alabama is Alabama because, like, since growing up, I've been watching them, and I felt like I wanted to be a part of it. So whenever I got the offer my freshman year, I knew I was going there. So it's just a dream come true, just committing to the University of Alabama and just living out my dream.
When did you finally make the decision?
Probably last night. Last night, stayed up, just thinking, just feel like I'd be a great fit there and just turn Alabama program around.
What did Alabama's kind of final pitch to you look like in terms of, on-field offense?
Just keeping a relationship with Coach G and getting to meet Coach Grubb, and he went over me with the offense and how he'll use me in the offense. So I feel like I can go there and make an impact.
What kinds of things did Coach Grubb say about the offense and how he sees you?
Just like the running game, how people say he don't run the ball, which I don't believe that. So we'll see this year, and hopefully he proves everybody wrong about running the ball.
He's got to have a great running back.
Yes, sir.
To be able to run the ball, right?
Yes, sir.
Does it feel good to have it behind you now?
Yes, sir. It feels great.
What about the Aggies this year? I mean, you got to turn your attention to them, right?
Yes, sir. The plan is to go back to back, but we got to work hard and just keep pushing day by day, and we'll see if we'll go back to back.
What do you want to say to Alabama fans?
Roll Tide.
There's quite a few, Alabama targets, in-state targets that Alabama is still trying to get. Yes, Sedarian, Tank, like those guys. Like, what's kind of your message to them from
Sedarian? Come on home, man. You know what home, man, bro. Yeah. And Tank, come on. Let's get the class big.
So there you go. So he's already trying to get some of his other guys on board with him. I'm sure Pat knows a little bit more. I think Pat mentioned Tank to us, but there was that. But again, he said, man, he's always dreamed to come to Alabama. He's an Alabama kid, so obviously it makes a lot of sense. So big time pickup, man. Hopefully we can make sure we get that signature come December, which I don't think that should change. It sounded like, man, he's always dreamed of coming here. It's always been the plan. So unless somebody swoops in with something crazy, I think we should be good to go. But I think that was solid, man. Proud of that young man for making that decision, and now he can focus on his senior year, man. Sound like you said going back to back. I guess they win the state championship last year, but I wish I won the high school state championship, man. That would have been dope. Winning national championship is cool, but I don't know. I feel like high school would have been cool. All right, anyway, let's go to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Franny on the phone lines. Franny, welcome in.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I think as far as your recruitment comment, I think people are going to look at college recruiting like they do free agency in football. Well, he's with us this year, but where's he going to be next
year? Yeah, I agree.
And the level of attachment you were talking about when you committed for 4 years, well, 95% of you guys that committed back then just went to one college.
Yep.
Now it's like, if I don't like it here, I'm going to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not the same.
No, it's not. That's why I guess I agree. And I think that's why I'm just kind of, I wouldn't say shocked. Maybe that is the word, but it just was interesting just seeing that, because I'm like, I feel like we just were talking about how recruiting's kind of taking a step back, but now we're like doing watch parties, this and that. I'm like, I guess people still are tuning into it, but it's like you said, I mean, Oh, did he drop Chase? Well, that was interesting.
I think he did.
Oh, well, I guess he just wanted to get that out and he had to go. Well, thanks for that, Franny. No, I mean, I agree with him. I would say the transfer portal feels a little bit more like free agency, in my opinion. I would say I would compare recruiting more to like the draft. I would say signing day is kind of like the draft. The transfer portal is more like free agency. But I think that's why, and I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I just know, like, with the reality of things nowadays, I mean, you hope to hold on to these guys as long as possible, but I mean, you just never really know. And so that's why I try to be a little bit more reserved, especially before they're even signed. I mean, between now, I mean, you've got what, 6 months, I think signing days, what, December, I think early December, something like that. A little less than 6 months. I mean, you got to hold on to these guys. I mean, and if you think these schools are just going to stop, man, no. If anything, they're going to come even harder. They're going to up the ante. They're going to offer more incentives. I mean, now that you've got this whole true revenue sharing thing, I mean, who knows? If somebody really likes a kid, they can offer them a big chunk of that. So, not to sound like, a glass half empty type of guy. It's just that's the reality of where we're at with college football. But nonetheless, it's definitely exciting, especially when you see a guy like that from Alabama, really wants to come here. I did see Southern said when he mentioned kind of turn the program around, it kind of caught her off guard. I think when guys say that, I don't think it comes from a place of like, oh, they're viewing us as like we need it to be turned around, like, oh, we're in the dumps or something like that. I think it's more so like they just mean like they're confident in their ability, confident in themselves, and when they get here, help kind of get back to that dominant standard of Alabama football. I think that's that's pretty typical. Another thing that he mentioned that was interesting, talked about Ryan Grubb, meeting him discussing kind of how he sees him fitting in. Very, very typical thing. So anytime you're getting recruited, I guess I'll give you a quick little insight. So like that's one of the big things. Obviously, a school they come after you, they're interested in you. But when you go talk to them, you sit down there and meet with them, they'll normally pull up tape in the portion of when you go on a visit. That's like one of the big things. You'll sit down and meet with the position coach and then the coordinator. And when you're in that meeting, most of the time they'll have obviously their tape and they'll have a cut up made. So they'll have their GAs make cut ups for each recruit that comes of a player that plays that position, a player that played that position in the past, whoever that plays that position. And they want to have a cut up to show how they'll use you, right? So for example, I went on a visit to Florida State coming out of high school, and Sal Sinceri was there. So they had to cut up, some outside linebackers. They showed him, rushing the quarterback, dropping in coverage, how they, use him, setting the edge, all that stuff. And they always would relate it to, how they see me fitting in their defense and how they see my game in high school and why they believe that I would be a good fit and all that and so forth. He mentioned meeting with Ryan Grubb and them going over the offense, how they see him fit in there. Obviously, everybody talks about Washington's offense being pass heavy, leading the country in passing yards, all that stuff. But a lot of people don't realize they did run the ball a good bit. They had 1,000-yard rusher. So I think that is important. I wanted to bring that up because it is interesting that you already hear that. I mean, we haven't seen Ryan Grubb coach here at Alabama yet, but that already is a thing where people do want to say, hey, well, we've heard, right? I mean, I don't know how much these guys watched Washington. Maybe they did, but we've heard, Ryan Grubb doesn't really run the ball. If anything, I wouldn't be shocked if other schools are negatively recruiting some of these offensive guys, especially running backs, and saying, hey, our system, we use running backs. Bama, they've got a coordinator now that he doesn't like to run the ball. And so it's interesting hearing that Ryan Grubb made it a point of emphasis, right? Which I guess doesn't shock me. You're talking to a running back. They're going to make sure they explain, hey, man, we're going to use you as a running back to not just to be, you're not going to be pass blocking if you come here. We want you to run the football. We want to give you plenty of opportunities. But he also made it seem like, hey, man, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. So Ryan Grubb, if you want to hold on to your top-ranked running back that you just had commit in terms of Mr. Crowell, you might want to make sure you're calling a number of running plays, man, because he's definitely going to be watching. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting comment there. We got to hit a top of the hour break. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Got a whole another hour to go on this free-for-all Friday. We got plenty more to dive into on the other side. Again, we are open on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. You can call in for a nice, lengthy conversation back and forth, or you can be like Franny. Just get your point across real quick in a couple sentences and head on out. That easy. We'll take anything. Free-for-all Friday, man. It's all all fair game right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick timeout. Hour number 2 coming right up.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
We aren't done with recruiting. I think more are coming. Yeah. They just crystal balled this guy, which I like this guy. I mean, to me, I mean, like, this is a dude that I think would just thrive in this system. I mean, he kind of gives me like Jahad Campbell vibes. Sorry, I needed some water. He kind of gives me Jahad vibes. I mean, he plays on the edge a lot, but when they played him stacked back, he can run well, very athletic, explosive. Like, I think that'd be a huge get, especially talking about, I mean, to me, I think the biggest thing, Joey says they ran Dillon a lot at Washington. Absolutely. Yeah, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. Transfer from, Mississippi State? Yeah, I mean, I really think the addition of Grubb is going to be bigger than what some people really maybe think or anticipate. I mean, I said that last year. I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, I think it was evident that, and I'm not, I mean, I think DeBoer will be fine either way. But I mean, I think without a doubt, he's much better having his sidekick with him. Just being completely honest, right? I thought, in my opinion, I thought that was evident last year. Now, maybe if he had somebody, and I'm not saying Nick Sheridan wasn't, capable, but to me, it's just, I think you're going to see a big difference between a guy like Grubb taking over, having the reins of that offense versus Sheridan, personally. Because I genuinely I mean, and another thing people don't mention much is Ryan Grubb is not only an offensive guru, but he is an offensive line guy, right? So think about this. I mean, we talk about the offensive line and how that needs to improve and the play there. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has experience as an offensive line coach, whether it's running the ball, whether it's just cleaning up the offensive line and their consistency, their play. I mean, Ryan Grubb should be an upgrade, and not only from a play calling standpoint, but also just really, I think offensive line play should be affected in a positive way. I think the running game should take an effect. And again, those are all the areas that I feel like we've been lacking. That's why I think the addition of Ryan Grubb is more than just, he's back on board. I think there's a number of things that you should see improvement. Why do I always hit my good points when we're on a break? Why does that always happen, guys? I mean, it doesn't matter for you, but always during the break, we always got like some good conversation going. Sorry, I'll repeat it when we come back. I think right guard is going to – oh, wait, no, sorry. Ryan Grubb. So I'm in a football mindset. You said RG, man. I'm thinking right guard. I think Ryan Grubb is going to do more with this group. We'll see bountiful results. No, I definitely think so too, man.
9 WTP.
I think we'll definitely see a big jump. The problem is, again, just going back to my rant earlier, people are just, regurgitating what they see or just surface level stuff immediately. Just like yesterday, we had Reagan on. It was, I'm glad Milroe's gone. Love Reagan, but I'm like, look, man, I know, I get it. Like, some of it's not even so much directed at Milroe. They're just not the biggest fans of dual threat quarterbacks. Because even if you look in the NFL, like, dual threat quarterbacks typically don't have the most success. Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl, but anyway, we'll continue. Again, I think what might happen is we're talking about all these other things that are now in place. Ryan Grubb being back, better offensive line play, the receiver room being better. And I'm telling you right now, mark this video, save this video, whatever you want to do. And I'm telling you what's going to happen is there's going to be an increased play, and you're still going to have some knucklehead, hard-headed ass fans that don't care. They just don't like Jalen. And they're immediately going to say, oh, man, see, we should have been playing Ty. I'm mark my words. I'm telling you it's going to happen. And that's not a discredit anything Ty is going to do, because I think Ty's going to have a good year. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. But it's not apples to oranges. I think that the other things were just probably not where they needed to be. because we've been complaining about, not even just last year, even the past couple years. And I think they finally will be better. But watch, I'm telling you that's going to happen. Mark my words.
High at 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this free-for-all Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Chase, I almost brought us back speaking a little Spanish right there, man. That definitely gave off like mariachi vibes, man. That was good stuff. Hour number one, we spent a great deal of time talking about recruiting and number. That was like the whole time, man. Things are different around here, man. We're really hitting recruiting heavy, but it makes sense. Now is that time, right? Now is recruiting time. Things have really picked up, and summer months are the big ones. A little update on kind of what's going around with football right now is so they're finishing up this week, or they just finished up the first half of their summer conditioning program, which is crazy to say, Chase, because I feel like literally feels like just a week ago we were talking about them getting back on campus, getting into their program. Well, they're already halfway through it, man. They should have a few-day break like this weekend going into next week, I think, right? You got the 4th coming up, stuff like that. But literally they're halfway through their program. They'll have a little short break here, a little less than a week probably, and then they're hitting the ground running back to finish their summer conditioning program. And then they'll have a short break before they kick things off for fall camp. So, guys, we're marching along, man. I don't know how much, like, 65 days or something? I don't know exactly the number count, but I know we're really getting close. And before you know it, man, the second portion is going to be done, and we're going to be going into fall camp, which is going to be really exciting because, look, man, we'll really have football back. We'll have plenty to talk about. Last year they had a good bit of media availability during camp. I don't really know their schedule too much. Fortunately, I'm able to pretty much go up there whenever. But you guys know how I am. I don't dive into, well, this is what happened. But you know how it is. I mean, we can kind of very generically talk about stuff, which would be exciting, kind of things that are going on in that nature. But football's almost back, man. We're really getting to it, which let me remind you guys now, with things heating up, we do have some opportunities, some sponsorship opportunities still left. Now, things are filling up quick, but if anybody or if you know anybody that might be interested in working with us in a sponsorship capacity, advertising, all that stuff, make sure you guys contact Chase and get my information from there, or we'll figure something out. But we got a few more spots. We got a lot of fun stuff planned for this season, and we're looking forward to it. But I always want to put that out there because I know a lot of people do wonder how they can get involved with the show. A lot of people want to be a part of it. Well, there's how. If you want to leave your information with Chase, or I'll end up putting some more information out, you can always go to our website, themillersedge.com. There's a contact side there where you can leave that information. We'll connect with you. But just know we're counting down the days, man. We're getting close. That being said, Chase, man, I wish we could get into a little wrestling talk. We're not going to do that now, but they are over there. I already saw them doing their what do you call it? Like, not their press conferences, but like their, what do you call what they do, Chase? Like before, like the day before the event, when they're like talking to the crowd. What do you call that with WWE?
I would call that more like a showcase, something to kind of interact with the fans,
that's a good word.
Kind of get their characters out. Sometimes they'll get out of character too. I've seen that. I've always wanted to go to one because I think John Cena, he had excuse me, I lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah, John Cena, he had thanked Michael Cole, the announcer, for being such a good friend, and you wouldn't have seen that on a regular like tape show. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, man. I think it'll be a decent event. Now, I will say, I don't know how great of an event. I know a lot of people have been kind of complaining, like, oh, they've been kind of trash recently, but we'll see. Anyway, that's for us wrestling fans. I don't know if we have any other ones. I know we have a few, but I know me, Chase, Mike, a couple others are big fans. But anyway, back to some football talk. So yesterday, me and my dad had a healthy debate, right? And we really got into it about the defensive line play. If he's listening, I need to summon him back up here. We had Reagan on, and obviously we were talking about Reagan, which let me remind you guys while I got that on my mind. This weekend, starting today, if you guys are looking for a place to watch some good fights, man, and not like some reckless stunts about boxing in UFC. Head on over to R&R Cigars, right? They put on the fights for you guys. That way you guys don't have to pay. Tonight, you've got boxing. If you guys are like me, you're a big Deontay Wilder fan, former heavyweight champion. He will be fighting tonight. Probably Reagan said around like 10 maybe he comes on. But also Dion Nicholson, who also is from Tuscaloosa. He's fighting on the card. He's defending his belt. Make sure you guys head on over to R&R Cigars, man, and check them out. 2703 Gary Fitz Street here in Tuscaloosa. You can't miss it. It's the big mansion. It's a big old white mansion that's got wraparound porch, TVs, plenty of cigars to choose from, the best humidor in the Southeast. Make sure you guys check them out. And then again, tomorrow they're running it back. They've got drink specials all weekend that you can enjoy. They got the UFC fights going on tomorrow. Charles Oliveira fighting. I'm a big fan of his. So it's going to be fun. Again, 2703 Gary Fitz Street is where you can find them, plus their website. Don't forget, 20% off when you use this discount. But say you just want to support the show, and also you don't have to get 20 cigars. You can just get the discount. Code Miller's Edge, MILLERSEDGE. Code Miller's Edge, and that will get you a big discount. rnrcigars.com. Great gift ideas. If you like my dad, you enjoy a nice cigar every now and then on the golf course, whatever it may be, make sure you get them from R&R Cigars. They've got the best selection possible. Plus, they are the official cigar provider of Alabama football. Again, that is R&R Cigars, rnrcigars.com, code Miller's Edge. Plus, big fight weekend this weekend. Head on over there and check them out. All right. Me and my dad did get into it. And we were talking about the defensive line. And I'm going to look for some more context on this. But again, when you look at the numbers defensively for this defensive line unit, sack production, tackle for loss production weren't great, right? We were really bottom of the barrel in the SEC. But PFF is actually really high on this defensive line unit. Here's what they had to say and where they view them going into this 2025 season.
Good luck running on this team. This is maybe the best run-stopping defensive line in college football. I mean, I know we've got another one ahead of them that's pretty darn good too. But Alabama, when you just look at trying to run between the tackles, you're not going to get many teams, even in the SEC, they're going to be able to do it. I think that the big question for me is Overton's going to improve, I think, as a pass rusher. Who's that second guy? Q Robinson was like that a little bit last year in a part-time role. He was the guy who had the big 90 pass rush grade. But somebody else has to step up to me, whether it's inside or outside, as a second legitimate pass rusher. But I think that's what gets them this high on the list. Is obviously they have a boatload of talent. They're Alabama. They're always recruiting well. But what they can do in run defense, they are they don't need any safety help or anything like that. And then you got Deontay Lawson and Kyle Green, guys like that. This Alabama run defense has a chance to be the best in the country.
So that was PFF's comments on the defense line. Now remember, they do a lot of grading. You guys know me. If you've been listening to the show, you guys know I'm a little skeptical because I know the inner workings of what goes into these plays and whatnot, and how if you don't really know exactly what's being called or the philosophy of some type of technique that team might be using, there's no real accurate way to truly grade what guys are doing. And that's just a fact. What I mean by that is, and I've explained this before, but if you guys are new and haven't heard this, what I mean is this: unless these guys, and I'm saying these guys are the guys at PFF, have a specific call sheet, right, that is explaining, what was called, but not only that, but also have the ability to really know exactly how this defense or how that coordinator is, what those expectations are, how he's having guys fit. Because fits are going to be different for different teams and philosophies are going to be different. There's no real accurate way to judge things, right? Like you might see it like you can always have like a base level of art. The defensive end almost all the time is responsible for a C gap, right? Especially when he's in the 5 technique, he's a C gap player. However, there's going to be little addendums and things that switch up that if you don't realize what they're doing there, you might say that guy has a negative, but that's not true. And I always use the example, because this is what would trip a lot of people up, as a technique. We used to call it a Jimmy pony technique, right? It was either a Jimmy or a pony. And all that meant was the defensive end was trading responsibilities with the linebacker, meaning the defensive end that typically was a C-gap player would strike the tackle, and he would initially, show that he's in his C-gap, and then he would last effort cross shed into the B-gap, right? It's almost like I'm going to show that I'm in the C-gap. That way I force the running back to read the hole and say, oh, I'm hitting this B gap that's open. but then the defensive end falls into the B gap last minute, and then the linebacker replaces that end. If the running back just happens to continue outside and bounce outside, PFF's watching the tape, they're going to say, oh, he jumped inside. That's a negative. But if he was operating out of a Jimmy Pony technique, which we used to run in, cover 4, cover 7, that they're not going to know. They're not going to know that. And actually, that defensive end is right. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm always a little skeptical there. But I agree with them in terms of, having to find that other guy in terms of who's going to step up as a rusher. If I had to put money on it, I would probably say Quay Rousseau ends up filling that void. A little bit different type of rusher than a guy like Q Robinson. Not as quick twitch, a little bit more explosive, a little bit more powerful. But hell, Will was a little bit like that, really. I mean, Will's bull rush and his power rush really was his bread and butter, and we saw how productive he was. Maybe Q Rousseau. Sorry, Q Robinson, Quay Rousseau, kind of confusing there. Maybe he can find a way to step up and be that guy, which I think if I had to put money on it right now, that's probably who I would lean towards. But when he was talking about the run defense, he was making it seem as if it was like, 20, whatever year you want to say, 2016 when I was there, I don't know, what year was it that they were really good, but they ended up not winning? It was like 2010. I don't know, any one of those. Pick any of those years and you remember the defensive stats. We looked it up, and I'm pretty sure run defense wise, I think we're like 40-something nationally. So I'm just curious where they're getting, like having us as number 2 nationally. Does that make sense, Chase? Look, I'll take any praise we get for our guys. Obviously, I want to support our guys as much as possible, but from being from my realistic standpoint, I don't know I don't think I'd have us as the number 2 ranked defense line in the country. I don't think many other real analysts would say that, given being that far back in pass rush stats, and then run defense. Not like I could understand. Maybe I was telling my dad yesterday, if you have balance, sure. Say you're the number 1 run defense, pass rush suck, but if you balance it out, hey man, all right, it's still a solid unit. I feel like we were 40-something to me is, I would say that's average. Wouldn't you agree, Chase? If you got 100 something teams in the sport and you are 40-something, that's kind of middle of the pack, a little bit better than the middle of the pack, but still. But in the pass rush side, you're down the bottom. Does that make sense, Chase? I just want to make sure I know people think when you're just honest, you're being a hater, but do you understand my philosophy here, Chase? How that would make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I hate sounding like I'm being a hater, man, but I'm not. I'm genuinely curious. I wish they expanded on this, and maybe there's an article. We got to hit a timeout. We're due for one anyways. I'm going to look and see if there's an article because I want to see them really dive deeper into the numbers since that's their thing. They do these numbers. I want to see how they came up with having our defensive line unit at number 2. I'm higher on our defensive line unit than some, and I'm probably maybe a little bit lower, obviously, than some because they have them at number 2 nationally. But I'm going to do that. We're going to hit this timeout. I'm going to look for this article and see if they expand on that and how they came up with that ranking. And so we'll do that when we come back after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge. Free for all Friday, 205-342-9904 is the number if you guys want to get in on the conversation. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
good luck running on this team. This is maybe the best run-stopping defensive line in college football. I mean, I know we've got another one ahead of them that's pretty darn good too, but Alabama, when you just look at trying to run between the tackles, you're not going to get many teams, even in the SEC, they're going to be able to do it. I think that the big question for me is Overton's going to improve, I think, as a pass rusher. Who's that second guy? Q Robinson was like that a little bit last year in a part-time role. He was the guy who had the big 90 pass rush grade, but somebody else has to step up to me, whether it's inside or outside, as a second second legitimate pass rusher, but I think that's what gets them this high on the list is obviously they have a boatload of talent. They're Alabama. They're always recruiting well, but what they can do in run defense, they are like, they don't need any safety help or anything like that. And then you got Deontay Lawson, the Hill Green, guys like that. This Alabama run defense has a chance to be the best in the country. Good luck running on this team. This is maybe the best run stopping defensive line in college football. I mean, I know we've got another one ahead of them that's pretty darn good too, but Alabama, when you just look at trying to run between the tackles, you're not going to get many teams, even in the SEC, they're going to be able to do it. I think that the big question for me is Overton's going to improve, I think, as a pass rusher. Who's that second guy? Q Robinson was like part-time role. He was the guy who had the big 90 pass rush grade, but somebody else has to step up to.
Hey, Chase, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, are we on break?
I couldn't hear like maybe half of it, but I can send the break right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, damn. So we're still live. Yeah, go ahead and send it to break. Yeah, I sent it to break like 30 seconds ago. So, yeah, we can go ahead and do that. So we're going to take this time out, and we come back. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
At Tuscaloosa Mazda, they are expanding.
I'm glad I asked him that because that's why I played that clip because I was like, I never heard the music, but all right. So I'm trying to find this article. Excuse me, that was bad. This is what's confusing, guys. I'm looking like the one I found from College Wires. Here we go. Wait, and maybe y'all correct me if I'm wrong here. College football is a PFF. College football top defensive lines in the country. Now, oh wait, is this from last year? That might be from last year. Oh, it was from last year. Damn. Where's 2025 then? I'm trying to find this article, man. Oh, wait, and I just stopped sharing it all. I'm all over the place. Hold on. Let me see. If you guys have seen that article, let me know. I know sometimes you guys have it. All right. Oh, wait. I typed in the wrong year. Well, that'll do it. All right, here we go. I think this is it. But see that. Oh, wait, they do have us. All right, here's the article. I'm just curious where they're coming. I mean, because numbers wise, let's see. All right. Talk about LT Overton, Tim Keenan. Go down into the draft, came back. See, like, but that's not really telling me. I see that to me, this just sounds subjective, man. All they're saying is, okay, well, they like LT Overton. They're talking a whole bunch about him. They're talking about Tim Keenan being third on interior defenders with the 90.1 run grade last season. But that's it. That's why I'm confused, guys, because I'm like, they don't mention any of the I don't know. This is why I don't buy stuff like this. Like if you have us at number 2 just because of 2 players you name, I don't know. Oh, there you go. They got me at Georgia, right? I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's not me. That's funny though. Georgia does have a guy named Chris. It was Chris Sten or Christian. I don't know. Chris Sten Miller. Interesting.
Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A very muggy afternoon. The chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms through early tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 71. Very similar weather tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds, scattered showers and storms by afternoon. The high at 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 88 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Free For All Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We've been talking a little bit about, first hour, a whole bunch of recruiting. Then we just start talking a little bit about the defensive line. But I pulled up that article on PFF, man, trying to see if they had more reasoning. Again, I know you guys are probably like, man, well, you're a Bama guy. Why are you mad that he has that too? No, I'm not mad. I mean, I definitely, I love us getting some love, but I'm all about reason, right? I want to have someone explain to me, right? To me, something's just not really adding up. I don't understand how we could be so far down in sack productions, tackle for loss production, and then even like our run defense. I mean, it was, I would say about average last year, a little bit slightly better than average, but it wasn't like, again, you're talking about number 2 in the country for a unit. I think any realistic fan, because we have a good bit of fans that are real. They don't just wear the glasses. They've always said, I mean, the defensive line play needs to be better. And so they probably are kind of wondering the same thing I'm wondering. Like, how is PFF coming up with that? The only thing I got from the article that we pulled up, guys, was that they really like LT Overton and Tim Keenan. Those are really their 2 reasons here in this description. I mean, they said Tim Keenan was the 3rd ranked interior defender with the 90.1 run defense grade, and the only 2 guys ahead of him were 2 top 20 picks. So they're extremely high on Tim Keenan as a run defender, and they're extremely high on LT Overton. They got him listed as an edge, the number 6 edge. Obviously, we know that he kind of slides all across. He lines up at tackle, lines up at 5 technique. We've even seen him outside backer at times, but that was really about it. I was hoping they'd have more numbers, and again, from the numbers that I've seen, I don't think you could really justify having us there unless you just are being subjective. But we'll see. Maybe they're saying going into this year, maybe they're not putting too much stock into last year. But that was what I found over the break. All right, segueing. I wanted to circle back real quick because you guys know we like to listen to videos and respond and react. And well, obviously we heard all the talk from Tommy Castellanos, and we gave our thoughts on it. But I want to hear. With On 3, you got JD Piquel. I know you got some guys love him, some guys hate him. But see what he had to say about it. Because a lot of people are saying, hey, man, that guy not only made bulletin board material, but a lot of people think Alabama really could use this and really ride off the momentum of, hey, man, this is setting us up for a game 1 of really seeing Alabama come out and prove a point. Because a guy like Castellanos is really raising the stakes, and a lot of people feel like Alabama could really use it to their advantage. Let's see what J.D. Piquel had to say about the comments from Tommy Castellanos and how it could provide a huge opportunity for Alabama in week 1.
Games for Alabama is going to be that first one. Going to Tallahassee, playing Tommy Castellanos in the Knolls, and it was well documented. Thomas Castellanos sat down this past week with Pete Nakos and pretty much talked his cash, man. And one of the things he said was, I don't see how they can stop me. Nick Saban's not there to save them. And as a college football fan, you kind of sit back and say, all right, it's a good amount of bravado for a quarterback that, was benched last year at Boston College, whether it was on him, whether it was on Bill O'Brien. I think Thomas Castellanos is a good player, but I think the Alabama side of what he said in terms of what it could mean or what it could be for that football team, that's where this, I think, gets really intriguing if you're in Tuscaloosa or Alabama fan. We'll talk about it right now, but first things first, if you're an Alabama fan and want more college football content around your Crimson Tide, make sure you're subscribed. Doesn't cost you anything. We talk ball all year. If you love college football, make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate y'all in advance for that. So I had a couple of thoughts around Thomas Castellanos and what he said, and all those are on the YouTube channel already, so go check those out as it pertains to the Florida State side. But as the dust kind of settles, on my drive in this morning, I started thinking more about, well, what is Thomas Castellanos' comments about Alabama, and they can't stop me, and Saban's not there to save them? What does that actually mean for Alabama? Because there's 2 sides of every trash talk, right? The giver and the receiver. I think that Thomas Castellanos talking his cash around Alabama in that game to start the year, that gave Kalen DeBoer the ultimate gift, man. Like, what Thomas Castellanos gave to Alabama and Kalen DeBoer was the guarantee that there will be zero complacency when that game kicks off, not in primetime, bet, for Alabama and Florida State. Because that's kind of what got Alabama last year, wasn't it? And I know a lot of it was the changing of the guard from Saban to DeBoer, and you're trying to, solidify your way of doing things, your culture. I get all that. But, like, Alabama, they didn't lose to Oklahoma because they were more talented. They didn't lose to Diego Pavia because Vandy was more talented. They lost because they were complacent. They lost because they did not show up ready to roll, bro. And so if you subtract both those losses from Alabama's schedule, 11-1 in the college football playoff, I mean, like, that's what it is, right? And so Thomas Castellanos talking how he's talking about that game week 1, if there was even an inkling of the Alabama locker room saying, well, it was Florida State. Well, they won 2 games last year. Well, their quarterback's not over 6 foot, which is not a bad thing, by the way. 5'11", stand up. Like, it's not there anymore. It's not there because you saw guys liking the social posts that were aggregating Thomas Castellanos and his quote. You saw guys, I don't know if there's many commenting about it, but there was definitely, I would have to say, some commentary going on within the locker room. Hey, you see what Castellanos said? All right, we're going to have something for him. We're going to have something for him. And I think the other part of this is, as much as it, benefits Kalen DeBoer and him not having to apply any pressure to this team having to, get up and ready to roll for week 1, I think it also gives Alabama a chance to kind of step into what I would call their new identity under Kalen DeBoer. Ari Washman of On3 has a really awesome column out right now on on3.com talking about, like, Kalen DeBoer's quest to make Alabama scary again here in 2025. And I think he's on the money, man. Like, what if this is that moment here where Alabama rolls into Tallahassee and just leaves no doubt? And not just leaves no doubt because they're the better team or more talented team on paper, which, full transparency, they are. And the Vegas spread at double digits tells you as much. But what if this is the point where Alabama, like, just kind of takes it personal? There's a phrase on Alabama Twitter that's kind of been popularized over the course of the last few years, especially under Nick Saban, called joyless murder ball. What if it's joyless murder ball against Florida State and Alabama just delights in crushing these teams into the ground? Ari Washman, in his article, has a bar. He says, putting down these undersized quarterbacks with oversized mouths, speaking to Castellanos and Pavia. That, I think, is something where it's not where you have, like, a switch that you flip on and off, because those great Alabama teams, they don't have a switch that ever goes off. It just stays on. But you wonder if this is maybe like that villain origin story for Alabama, where they've heard all the talk from this past season about how they underachieved and went 9-3 and missed the playoff. But, like, they step into this moment now where the opposing quarterback was talking crazy. They go to their place, take it over, leave with a dub. And then at that point, we're like, that's a different Alabama. That's a joyless murder ball kind of brand of Alabama that we've been waiting to see since Saban left. It's back, and this is now who they are. All right. I also kind of love, just so we're on the same page here, I like what this does when it comes to creating pressure for whoever the new quarterback is for Bama. We've said multiple times, I'm assuming it's Ty Simpson. Ryan Grubb has came out and said as much that if they started a game tomorrow, or if they played a game tomorrow, it would be Ty Simpson as the starter. This kind of a quote probably creates some extra emotion for your football team, probably creates some extra emotion for your quarterback walking into a game now where you're on the road and everybody on your side of the locker room should be trying to get after the opposition at a more intense level than they even were before. But what have we seen from the great quarterbacks at Alabama over the course of the last few years? They're able to manage emotions, not just themselves, but manage their football team's emotions. So it's going to be on, I'm going to use Ty Simpson here for the sake of this conversation. It's going to be on Ty Simpson to be able to walk into that stadium on game day, week 1. The place is buzzing, the place is going crazy. I mean, I would hope the Florida State fan base is feeding off of Castellanos' comments as well and kind of bringing the pressure. Can you center yourself, manage that moment, calm down the offense, have everybody just kind of block out the noise, play ball, execute at a high level? That's how you apply the joyless murder ball. Leadership, I think, steps up in a moment like this. Yes, because it's a big game, but I think also because emotions are so fully charged up. Quarterback's not supposed to turn the emotions up in a spot like this. Quarterback's supposed to even everybody out, go play ball, go execute, and we're in a good spot. So the bottom line here is Castellanos just gift wrapped something for Alabama. And I told you, I love it if I'm a Florida State fan because I like the edge. And we need a pulse after what last year was. But if I'm Alabama, I love it just as much because you're telling us, okay, complacency, not going to be there. gives us a chance to step into this new identity under Kalen DeBoer and really just turn the switch on and leave it on. And also for your quarterback to be able to step into a different emotionally charged spot and do some good things. In that regard, as a leader, I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. But
so there you go. So he feels like the talk from Castellanos could, really propel us back into that dominant Alabama program that we've seen for so many years here in Tuscaloosa. I don't know, Chase. I'll be honest with you. I mean, obviously, I think those comments definitely are going to, light a fire for that defensive unit. I mean, I always give the example about, the talk around Kyler Murray or, things like that. Or Joe Burrow when he was kind of downplaying the Alabama game. He had never played us before. Like, as a defense, you definitely you take those comments like personal. So and he made a good point. I mean, defensively, you can afford to play a little bit more amped up. Obviously, Coach Saban's still, 100% right when he says you definitely want to play with emotion, but not be emotional. I mean, and that still rings true because what happens is sometimes you're doing too much. You're forgetting, to play within the system. You're undisciplined. You're making mistakes that you typically wouldn't make because you're running off of emotion and not logic. But I agree that, I mean, it could really set us up to make a statement game one. Where I have a little bit of a different thought about it comes more so where he's like, because that article he's talking about, and I agree with that article, meaning, if Kalen DeBoer can reestablish that, standard, that, perspective with Alabama. I mean, that the record, everything, all that other talk, I mean, I would put that on put that on the sideline for now, because that will fall into place. And once you establish that standard again, and you're just doing that on a weekly basis, everything else falls into place, man. Like when we were Coach Saban, we were going through, we never focused on each of these teams in terms of like, oh, they said this, they're doing this, or we're worried about a record here. We're worried about how we had one mission, and that was to be is big, strong, fast, physical, and dominant, most importantly, as possible. We didn't care who was on the schedule, who was lining up in front of us, when it was, where it was, what time it was. Our mission was the same, and that was to dominate our opponent. And we used to even go as specific as dominate your box. The cornerback dominates his box. He locks that receiver up. Defensive end dominates his box. He completely, is manhandling that offensive tackle, bullying them in pass rush. You know what I mean? Like unstoppable there. And everybody else and everything will fall into place. But anyway, I do agree with that. That should be the mentality. That should be the thought process. But where I do differ, though, is I just don't know if we'll fully get that from one game against a Florida State team that looked the way they looked last year. The only reason I say, even though I know that has no effect on Florida State, is going to probably be a lot better than last year, and you never want to get caught up in numbers or stats or records. But I just know from the outside crowd, right? The ACC crowd or whoever, people are going to say, oh, well, we could go out there and dominate Florida State and look like the best Alabama's looked in years, and there's still going to be a lot of doubt. That's where I differ with him. He's almost making it seem like, oh, if they show up and they dominate and beat up on Florida State, that we have a chance to really establish, oh, Alabama is back to that Alabama. You might get that from the inside crowd, but from the outside crowd, I don't necessarily see that being the case, because they're going to have every excuse built in, right? We know how everybody makes excuses when it comes to Alabama. There's oh, it was an ACC team. Oh, it was not only ACC team, it's ACC team that won 2 games last year. Oh, it's one game. It's the first game of the season. Everybody's still figuring themselves out. Oh, well, they didn't have this guy. There's going to be all that stuff built in. So I personally don't think, even if we went and beat Florida State 60-0, I don't think it would necessarily reestablish that. But it would definitely be a great first step. I do agree on that. And I think it would be huge for the morale and the mentality of the team itself. I think for a football team, I mean, obviously you don't want to get too big-headed and think, all right, we're better than we really are, then not show up the way we need to show up. But I think it would actually kind of – because this team is confident. I'm just going to tell you guys. I mean, these guys are confident. I mean, they're not walking around like, oh, we only won 9 games last year, man. These guys are extremely confident. And I think if you go out there and really beat up on a Florida State team, that would be good for just the confidence, and then really just kind of get rolling into the season. Now, obviously, you just got to make sure you manage it the right way and not get big-headed. But I do think that would probably be more so of how it would go. I don't think everybody would just be on notice all of a sudden, and then it's like, boom, Alabama's back. But I think it would at least be a good first step. All right, we got to hit a timeout. We come back, we keep on rolling. We got two-time Tommy on the phone lines. 205-342-9904 is the number. We're going to go to him. You guys also get on the conversation if you would like. We're free after that. Other than that, we got to hit this break and come right back. Keep on rolling right here on the Millers Edge. Tide on the 1230. WTBC.
Hi, I'm Chris Stewart, inviting you to celebrate the sun.
All right, let's see.
Townsend Honda, Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. 2.99% for up to 60 months on select new 2025 Honda Accords and HRVs with approved credit through Honda Financial Services. See dealer for details. Offer in 7725.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation across the United States and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers
who are resilient.
won't take
and I know that
we're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers and mentors who are shaping the next generation of legends. We are here for you, aggressively pursuing
victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Harding Construction. Located in the heart of Tuscaloosa, Brian Harding Construction is woman-owned and strong as steel, a specialty manufacturing firm with expertise in structural steel fabrication, ASME code piping and vessels, CNC machine work, welding, laser cutting, pipe fitting, industrial maintenance, and crane rental. With a proven track record of over 30-plus years of experience, no one is better fit for the job. For an evaluation, contact Brian Harding Construction today at 205-752-9611. Again, that's Brian Harding Construction at 205-752-9611.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this free-for-all Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. A couple of things real quick before we go back to the phone lines. We got our buddy Tommy. So this is what I was talking about when I mentioned the rushing defense ranking. So we finished 48th last year, which I knew we were 40-something, but 48 to be exact, averaging about 137.8 yards per game, and that comes to about 3.68 yards per carry for us as well. Now, in terms of rushing touchdowns allowed, we actually did really well. Only 10 rushing touchdowns allowed. Wow, you look at Iowa, man, they only had 4. But I want to say 10 rushing touchdowns allowed is actually really good. Yeah, that would put us at like, I guess tied for tied for 4th. So in that category, really good. Yards per game. That's where you get the 48, obviously. Then in terms of yards per rush, that would have us at – there's no way I'm going to be able to count this, but if I had to guess, that would probably put us around like in the 20th range, so to speak. So some good numbers there for the defense in terms of stopping the run. But as you guys could imagine, that's still with those numbers. I was still trying to figure out where they're coming up with the second rank, but just kind of piggyback off that. I mean, even if you just talk about within the conference, I mean, Ole Miss, number 2 in the country, only 80.5 yards per game allowed. Really impressive stat there. I mean, also have Tennessee that was in front of us in the conference, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Auburn in front of us, Arkansas in front of us, Georgia in front of us. So as you guys can get my drift, it wasn't me trying to, hate by any means. It's just, I mean, there's literally like 7 SEC teams in front of us in terms of rushing yards allowed. So that's why I was just a little bit confused with that. But hey, man, if he feels like we're the number 2 defense line in the country, thanks. We'll say thanks, but I don't think the numbers necessarily back that up. I think we still have a little bit more to prove, and that's okay. Hopefully we'll see them do that this year. The other thing I wanted to get to real quick before we go to Tommy on the phone lines is I mentioned Ari Wasserman. He had the article about Alabama needing to return to that dominant team. Well, he joined the McElroy and Kubick in the morning show over on Jocks, and this is what he had to say in terms of his article that he wrote in terms of Alabama getting back to that dominant brand of football.
Nick Saban being gone is a big part of that, and there's nothing that Kalen DeBoer could do about that. But at the same time, they didn't scare anybody last year. I don't think they're scaring people coming into this year, and I don't know that they're still not one of the top 3 or 4 most talented teams in the country. So he has an opportunity, Kalen DeBoer, that is, to, get Alabama back to a place where, respect is earned again. And isn't it interesting, Cole, when you think about like Nick Saban's life work and, what he built at Bama? He got it to a point where arguing who the best wasn't even fun anymore. He got it to the point where Alabama was so unequivocally head and shoulders above everybody else that like it was universally accepted in the college football community. You know how hard it is to get everybody to accept something in college football? And then like a year after he's gone, like it's vanished. Like it's like that is what you need to try to restore. And I don't know if that's an irrational ask, but obviously that comes down to winning. And you know how you do it? By grinding Vanderbilt into the dirt when you play. When you play Florida State in week 1, remind them who's boss. And I think that you do that little by little, and then eventually you get to a point where you earn the respect back and then the fear comes.
100% agree with that. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's not going to happen in 1 week, but when those opportunities do come up, you take advantage of each one. When you go on the road and face, Florida State week 1, man, you make a statement, right? You go out there and you really show that, hey, man, we're really back. Like you said, I agree with them too. I mean, talking about one of the most talented teams in the country. I mean, the pieces are there. You just have to go do that, and not just one time, but you have to do it consistently. And I think the biggest thing is, like you said, it's just going to be little by little. You know what I mean? Each performance that you stack, that's a dominant performance, I should say, that you keep stacking and stacking, it keeps getting more and more people to invest back into, hey, Alabama, man, they ain't going anywhere. They're still there. So I agree with what he had to say. Let's do this, Chase, since we're getting close anyway. Let's go ahead and combine breaks, and we'll get Tommy on here, give him plenty of time. to join us and get his thoughts on Ari's comments and more. Tommy, welcome in.
Hey, Tristan, how are you today?
Man, I'm great, man. It's a free for all Friday. How are you?
I can't complain. Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, there were several teams that the nation of the SEC ahead of Alabama in rushing defense. We always take pride because we was always taught, we Coach Bryant and Coach Stalin, defense wins championship. If the other team can't score, they can't beat you.
Yep.
But it's very simple, but it's very hard to do. Let me rephrase that. But hey, I mean, the guy wrote the article. Yeah, he named what Alabama got to do, what Alabama got to get back to. Yeah, I mean, the quarterback from Florida State. Well, he got a player doing it. He's trying to build up the program. He's trying to give his team confidence that, hey, we can play with Alabama. All this. If he takes shots, he takes shots. That's just part of football. That's just part of anything. But you don't need to listen to the noise. If you do, you need to evaluate it and do something about it. Because August the 30th, hey, and if he has a great game in Alabama, and they beat Alabama, guess what? Guess he's going to be the front leader for the Heisman Trophy after week 1. He will be. It's all about promotion. It's all about, we got to get a good start. If they get blown out by Alabama, well, the fan base down from Tallahassee going to say, well, here we go again. You know, so, I mean, it's talk season right now. But every day we're getting closer to the real thing. So, hey, I mean,
what do you think about?
I'm
sorry. No, I was just going to ask you. What do you think about those comments about the defense line being number 2? Do you agree with that, Tommy? Do you feel like this defensive line unit has done enough to even, I guess, go into this season as the number 2 ranked defensive line unit?
Well, I mean, they got the talent coming back and how they've been talking and what people are telling me. They're hungry. When you're hungry, you're going to stay focused on the mission. And sure, what have they heard all season? God, y'all lost to Vanderbilt. Oh, my Lord. You lost to Oklahoma. And then you lost to a depleted Michigan team that played with a sitting out and beat up. You just, in other words, how am I going to put it without making you a former defensive player or football player mine? We sucked those 3 games. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. I mean, it was really hard to watch. This is how crazy I am. People like to watch, oh man, that's a great win. I like to watch the games we lost to see what we made a mistake in. Let me tell you, those 3 games, I can't watch them after the first quarter. I get so mad still. I'm like, oh my Lord. You know.
Yeah.
And I know I'm an arbitrary quarterback. I know. But hey, I mean, it's just hard to watch. And I'm like, yeah, I want to, Florida State say, oh, we got something to prove. So does Alabama. Because everybody said last season, I mean, I hate to use that terminology. The standard is going down for us. I mean, you heard, we went 9-4. I'm like, no, we was in transition period, and we didn't bring our A game in some games, and it came back to bite us. I don't know if that's youth or complacency, but it's an old part of football, any sport.
Yeah,
you got to guard against that. So I mean,
yeah, no, you're right. I agree. You know what I mean? 1 game, 2 games, 3 games doesn't necessarily define a whole season or a whole group, but I'll just be honest with you. I think we still have more to prove before I would list us as a number 2 defensive line. And I think there's a lot of people that probably would agree with me. I don't mean to keep hammering that point, but I just thought it was interesting. I didn't realize we had some people that high. But then again, we have some people saying that we've got the number one offensive line. I mean, if I had to choose between the two that I'd probably invest a little bit more into, I'd probably say, I don't know. I guess that is a little bit tough, man. I don't know.
It is.
I'm optimistic about both groups being better, but it's just I feel like those spots are just a little high for what we necessarily, I guess, saw last year, and even with the improvements we're expecting. I know these are just lists that people come up with, but I don't know. Personally, it's just kind of hard
it's
for
like
me
this real quick.
to do that.
You want room for improvement and growth in the season. If you're number one, not like somebody said, well, you're preseason number one. I went whoopee-doo. You want to be number one out the season. You want to be the number two or number one offense end of the season when you got the Armor Trophy. We get the win back in the third Saturday of October. We win the SEC. I mean, like you said, we got to take care of these games. Like, well, this is a big game down the season. No, the first game is Florida State. People say, well, you're old. You just won those two. I went, yeah, I am old. I'm 64 years old. I'm set in my ways. We old people get set in our ways. We want lunch at a certain time. We have seen what Alabama have done over the years. That's what we want. We want consistency, I guess. We have bought in the story, and we've been brainwashed on the foundation and the technique, and you gotta have a plan. So,
well, speaking of
Friday,
go
ahead. I mean,
no, you're fine. No, I was going to say, well, speaking of, consistency and things of the past, I just thought about this. I was like, I know people have heard me today, and they're like, man, Christian sounds like his dad today. He sounds like he's just so negative. Well, no, this will be a better explanation of why I'm giving my state. Number one, because I'm just being completely honest, right? Like, as an analyst, as much as I bleed crimson, you guys see the jersey, everything, all the memorabilia behind me. I'm always riding for Alabama, but when I'm breaking things down, I got to be honest. I got to be transparent. When I see number one ranked or number two ranked next to position groups, what I think of in my head is that means you view this group the same way you viewed the defensive line unit that consisted of Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Jaron Reed, Ashawn Robinson, all in like one room. Like, those are the rankings those guys had. An offensive line unit that literally had, multiple first rounders across the board, hardly gave up sacks, one of the top offensive units in the country. You know what I mean? Like, so when I see like the number one group or number two group, that's what I'm stacking it up against. And that's why, if I'm just being transparent, I would urge anybody to ask yourself, like, would you say either of those units have lived up to any of those units that I just mentioned? And if you're real with yourself, the answer is no. That's why I'm saying, like, I feel like we should probably pump the brakes. Whoever's writing it should pump the brakes. Now, do we have the potential? Yeah, I think the potential is there for some really good units in both of those groups. But to me, I'm like, if someone said that about our secondary unit, hell, even the receiver unit, to me, I think that makes a little bit more sense. But what's shocking, I guess, to me, Tommy, is that like they're not mentioning it about those units who actually look to really potentially be top 3, top 5 units. They're mentioning about the 2 units that we have the most question marks, and that's why I'm like scratching my head, like, how are people coming to such different conclusions? I don't know. It's just been very confusing on this free for all Friday. But anyway, I just was curious to get your thoughts on that, man. I know you always got some good insight for me, Tommy.
Well, it's like this. We don't miss a beat. I mean, that's why we don't have a circle, a Hall of Fame circle at Bryant Denny.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need time numbers because we had too many ball players, great ball players, wore them numbers. I mean, when you put on number 22, you got 5 or 6 people that came before you wore that jersey. You put that number on with pride. You are living up to a standard. You're living up to a code. I mean,
mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure on you. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I had expectations, but let's don't put more pressure on our team
then there needs to
than
be.
they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you, especially the two groups that I feel like have more question marks than the others. I'm like, hell, if you again receivers or DBs, all right, man. I mean, I'm pretty confident that they probably could live up to that. But I feel like, you're right. You're putting a little bit of pressure on some groups that have to prove a little bit more. But Tommy, I appreciate you, man, on this Free for All Friday. You have a great rest of your weekend.
All right, man. You take care. Talk to you later, man. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide. Well, it's only fitting, Chase, as we get out of here. We ran with a whole bunch of recruiting. We might as well finish on it. Alabama has offered the younger brother of Ty Simpson. Shout out to Graham Simpson, who just finished his freshman year of high school, but already is on the recruiting radar. He has announced on X that he has received an official offer from the University of Alabama. So we could end up seeing another Simpson slinging the football around at the quarterback spot here at Alabama. All right, we got to get out of here. We got to make room for Wyatt and T-Town Sports Daily coming up next right here, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTVC. This has been the Miller's Edge presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Appreciate everybody. Chase Behind the Glass, all you listeners, phone calls, etc. We'll see you guys Monday. Do it all over again.